What's up, guys? Today we're going to talk more about Dragon Priest. Um, Full disclosure, my Dragon Priest deck up until this point has been doing horrible. Since the Grand Tournament has come out, I've tested a bunch of different Dragon Priest decks. Uh, Different ideas and different cards, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Um, and yeah, it's hard to find a good solid list. Right now, there's a lot of aggressive decks, like really sticky minion decks, like Zoo and Secret Paladin, and Hunter's still always there, Grim Patron is always there, and especially with Secret Paladin and these decks, you really need to have a board wipe, on like turn 5 or on turn 6 or whatever. You really have to draw into those. So this deck that I'm going to show you today is really geared towards those types of matchups, and I think it does extremely well in those matchups. So we'll go through the list a little bit. Um, we are running, how many dragons are we running? 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're running 10 dragons? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, we're running 9 dragons. So 9 is, like I said, what I think is the bare minimum number of dragons you want to run in order to open up with a dragon in the beginning of your hand if you keep Twilight Whelp or Wormless Agent, okay? Um, so we're running 9 dragons. We're going to go through every card real quick. A lot of these are the same stuff, so I don't want to talk about it too much, but I will talk about flex slots as well as the substitutes that you could probably use for it. So Power Word Shield never can be replaced. Okay, I think it's just a priest staple for every priest deck. It's very important. Cleric, we're running 2. I also believe it's a staple. Twilight Whelp, this is our Zombie Chow, and it's a dragon. So if you don't get this in the opening hand, there will be some board states where you still want to play it on board so that you have some kind of board presence, but you'll often hold this late in the game just so you have an activator for battle Blackwing Corruptor or Chill Maw or Twilight Guardian. Wormless Agent, very good 2-drop, nice stats on it. 2 Shadow Word Death. Before I was playing 1, but I've decided to run 2. This card is not a staple or not a core card. Okay, this can be replaced. I'd say Shadow Word Pain might be a good substitution. Shadow Madness might be a good substitution, or the second Velen's Chosen. I've decided to run 2. 1 Velen's Chosen, you can run 2. This card is very good tempo card because it keeps your guy on board, lets you represent more power on the board, but it doesn't develop the board. 2 Dark Cultists. Now, earlier I was trying out the 2 legendaries, Idis and Fiora, and they were pretty cool, although they were cool for 2 reasons. Number 1, on turn 4, or maybe even turn 6, there are times where you're able to abuse their power, right? Like you can do turn 3 Idis or turn 4 Idis with a Power Word Shield, right? And then you get the effect, a tempo play. But the problem is not only, and then the other benefit is that they must be removed. Like they really bait a lot of removal early, and if your opponent wastes a really big removal card on a 3-drop, you're feeling pretty good. But the problem is that you just don't have enough ways to activate that power anyway. So typically, it's just not worth playing. Dark Cultist is way better in this particular deck simply because, number 1, you can hide it behind taunts. Number 2, if you're behind, your opponent still has to deal with him last. You know what I mean? Unless he's okay with giving a random creature plus 3 health. And like we know, 3 for 3/4 is pretty good stats. 1 Earthen Ring Farseer. Now this card is a flex slot. This could be Mind Control Tech, BGH, even though many priests don't run BGH. It could be Ren Blackhand, or it could be Shadow Madness, or something else. This is a flex slot. You could put whatever here. I like Earthen Ring Farseer. This card hasn't seen play in a long time, but I think with a deck like this where you have a lot of creatures with fat health, it's a good tempo play. So you can do something like turn 1 Whelp, attack face or kill a 1 drop. Turn 2 Wormrest Agent, right? Um, maybe he attacks into it, maybe he doesn't. If he does attack into it, then you just heal it up on turn 3 with the Earthen Ring Farseer, and it attacks face, and you build the board by adding an extra 3 damage to the board, and not having to spend a turn using your hero power or worry about losing your Wormrest Agent. And I think that kind of tempo is very important. Although that situation is very situational, so therefore that's why I'm only running 1, right? 2 Twilight Guardian, this is a staple, it's a must-have. This is core for the Dragon deck. 2 Holy Nova, I'm pretty certain running Holy Nova is core. 2 Azure Drake, that's core. 2 Blackwing Corruptor, that's core. 2 Light Bomb. Now, I wasn't running Light Bomb in any version of my priest decks, or any version of the Dragon priest decks earlier. And just because I thought that Holy Nova is an adequate board clear and works better. And the fact is, Holy Nova is just not enough. You often, especially in this meta, are going to need to make sure that you have the board clear on turn 6 or 5 with the coin. And if you only run 2 copies of Holy Nova, you don't have that great a chance of drawing into them. But if we have 4 board wipes, so 2 more Light Bombs, then we double the chances of pulling a board wipe by that turn. And that's pretty important. And you'll find out that in this meta, sometimes you have to wipe the board numerous times. So I've decided to run 2. Like, obviously, this is not always going to be the case. You can probably replace it in a slower meta. I'd even say putting in a Mind Control or something. But for now, I'm running 2. 1 Cabal Shadow Priest, which is kind of a late game tempo card. I've always tried to cut him, but I've always missed this card. If you wanted to run 2, I would suggest dropping something in the earlier part of the game to put in a Shrinkmeister. That way you can deal with the Ysera. 1 Justicar Trueheart. This is a new card that I'm testing out, and in my testing, it's been great. This card is not a tempo card. It lacks tempo, because the stats are just not powerful enough on the turn it comes into play. But the Battle Cry effect, it just builds you a tremendous advantage in terms of mana efficiency. This card has single-handedly won me many games. Sylvanas, Chilma, which is really good against Patron Warrior in my opinion. Nefarian and Ysera. These 2 dragons, it could be anything except Deathwing. I don't think you should run Deathwing in this list because typically you are going to have a hand. I mean, maybe you could run Deathwing and play a lot slower list, but I think these dragons are pretty good. Nefarian does get killed by BGH, but when you look at your other options, I mean, you could run Nuzzdormu. Of course, you're not going to run that. You could run Malagos. You're not going to run that. Alexstrasza, that actually might be a pretty decent card, but you don't get any card value out of it. Onyxia, probably not going to run that. Or Deathwing. So, yeah, or Chilmal, right? Or Chromagus, I'm sorry. But your pickings are pretty slim, and I'm happy with Nefarian and getting 2 cards. So, and then of course Ysera, which I think is a guarantee. You must have this card in your deck. So that is the priest deck in general. I feel like if the meta is very aggressive, this is probably one of the best versions of the deck you can build. If it's hyper aggressive, you can maybe drop one of the late game dragons or a late game card, even a card like what could you drop besides one of these late game cards? Even a card like Light Bomb or the late dragons. Drop one of those and add in like a Holy Fire or a Flash Shield. And then of course if the meta is slower, then you can take out some of these slower cards, like maybe your Earthen Ring Farseer, and you can add in a Mind Control or something, right? So that's the deck, and let's test it.